All right, Shalom Akim, Shalom Yasharallah. First off, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this truth to rule well. All right, like you see right here, it says America in Bible prophecy. All right, it says on this page you will not only find out America is in the Bible prophecy, but also that America will be the main nation to bring on the mark of the beast and cause the world to take it. In Revelation 13, we have two beasts, one that rises out of the sea and the one that rises up out of the earth. And in the earth beast, which causes the world to take the mark of the beast, so for this earth beast to be able to cause the world to take the mark of the beast, of the sea beast, it needs to be a global superpower. All right. So it says America is not only the first, as well as the only truly global superpower, but it is also likely to be the very last. All right. And it's not likely to be the very last, but in fact, it is the very last rulership to be set up before the kingdom of heaven. All right. So it says, even though there have been world empires before, like Babylon and Rome, Mr. Bazazinski is talking about the fact that America is exercising power truly all over the world, which is what the earth beast does in Revelation 13. There is only one nation on the earth that appears... Man, look at this. It says there is only one nation on the earth that appears on the world stage lamb-like, Christian, all right, docile, humble, but ends up speaking as a dragon and has the power and influence to cause the rest of the world to to take the mark of the sea beast, which is the mark of the beast, the RFID chip, and the nation is America. All right, so there you go. I'm pretty sure it was an Edomite that probably wrote this. All right, but without further ado, I'm going to go to Revelations 13:1. And I stood upon the sea of the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his 10 horns, and upon his horns crowns, and upon his heads are the name of blasphemy. All right, so. This is talking about Edomite rulership. All right. Edomite rulership, which is self-proclaimed white man. All right. So that C represents people, nations. All right. Revelation 17. And what was it? Was it 8? Let me see. Oh, it says Revelation 17. And it's a locket. Let's see. Okay, it's over here. Let me start off at 5, and then I'll just jump down. Revelation 17:5, and upon her head was the name of written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. All right, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Go over here, my sword. I have this is Jeremiah 37. No, it's like Isaiah 37 is what I meant. Isaiah chapter 37. Start off at verse 1. You know what? Let me do it over here. I figured it'd be better. Isaiah 37:1, it says, and it came to pass, 47. Isaiah 47:1, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. All right. So when you read Revelations 18, all right, it's telling you about the end time destruction, all right, for Babylon. This is Revelations 18:16, saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen, in purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many trade by sea stood afar off. All right, so that scarlet and purple and scarlet represents like a rulership. All right, some type of priesthood, high rank. So you have in Revelations 13:1, and then Revelations. Let me get this one over here. Revelation 17 and is it 15? Revelations 17 and 15, and it says, and he said unto me, let me get it over here, that way I can show. Revelation 17 and 15, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, all right, because America is known as a whore, all right, because Isaiah 47, talks about this woman that's done wickedness, and she sits like she's the shit. All right, it's talking about America, the daughter of Babylon. All right, that's why this place is Mystery Babylon, because it's not going to be in the same place that the old Babylon was in. It says, where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. All right, so that's what that water represents in Revelations 13:1. It says, and I stood up on the sea, sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. All right, so America, the beast, all right, would be NATO, the EU, all right, which NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and the EU goes back to the EEC, which is the European Economic Community. And they had in 1957 the Treaty of Rome was signed. All right, and the Treaty of Rome, it brought back that beast system, But these are all Edomite nations. So the 7 heads represents the Greek, because it all started with Alexander the Greek. All right, the Greek Empire. So the Greek, the Romans, you had Germania Major, Germania Minor. All right, you had the Spanish, the French, the English, which are 7. All right, and then you had your 10 horns, which, like I was mentioning, NATO and the EU. All right, the EEC originally had 10 nations. All right, and they like to hide it. So let me see if I can get this. Nation standings. There were 6. Let me see. Because they like to hide some of them. The members, I think it has it. There it is. It has Belgium, France, all right, West Germany and Germany. They put it into 1. Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Denmark, Ireland, United Kingdom, and that was really all it. Those 9. They put Spain down here, but it was actually Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Germany, Ireland, England, and West Germany. All right, so they put Germany into one what's it called? They put Germany into one, West Germany and Germany into one. All right, which is not true. You see how sly this devil is. All right, so you have you had those 10 nations, all right, that were part of the EEC. You know, the European Economic Community. You know, and that's the 10 horns. That's the 10 horns that Revelations is talking about. You know, the 10 horns, and his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Because that's nothing. That's everything that this devil does, man. Blasphemy. All right, these Edomites, self-proclaimed white people. You know, it says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. All right, now that leopard represents the Greek, what's his name, Alexander the Great. I'm just going to put Alexander the Great. Let's go to images. All right. Let's see if it shows it right here. Because his father, Philip of Macedon, and himself, they would always ride around with, you can't really see it too clear, but you can see the leopard skin. All right. They would always ride around with leopard skin on their horses, you know. Let me see if it has another one. Yeah, I'm going to have to type it. You know how Esau is, man. He's smart as hell. And dumb as hell at the same time. Leopard skin. All right. Sword, historical leopard's print. You had Alexander the Great portrayed as an Edomite, which he was, and then you had that leopard skin, you know. So he was likened unto a leopard. And when he was in battle, all right, let me get that Maccabees. First Maccabees chapter 1, it says, and it happened after Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian. All right, so it's talking about Alexander the Great, because Alexander's father is Philip of Macedon. All right, I believe it was Philip II. It says, who came out of the land of Chittim, has smitten Darius, king of the Persians and the Medes. All right, and he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. You see, reigned in his stead the first over Greece. So that's the kingdom that it's talking about. And made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. You see, so this is the power that came into be. Like you can also read in the book of Daniel, you know, the 8th chapter, Daniel 7. It says, and went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. All right, so he became proud. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. You know, so when people say that Alexander the Great, you know, he was only alive for 13 years. All right. But scripture says that he reigned for 12 years. So he was alive for 12 and then he died after the 12. So he could have died on the 13th year, you know. It says, and his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, so that their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. All right. So after Alexander the Great, his kingdom was split into 4. All right, you had Antiochus, you had Cassander, Ptolemy, and Lysimachus. You know, that's the 4 that it was split to. You know, and then after those 4, another one came into be, which was Antiochus Epiphanes. You know, and that says in verse 12, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, and had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. All right. So this is talking about what's it called? History, you know. And Alexander was known, Alexander the Great. Let's put war stories. Let's go over here. In 334 BC, which is really roughly around, all right, it's not exactly 334 BC, Alexander crossed the Hellespont into Asia, and it took over 100 triremes boats with oars and transport the entire Macedonian army, but the Persians decided to ignore the movement. In these early months, Darius still refused to take Alexander seriously or mount a serious challenge to Alexander's movements. Memnon of Rhodes, the Greek mercenary who aligned himself with the Persians, advocated a scorched earth strategy. He wanted the Persians to destroy the land in front of Alexander, which he hoped would force Alexander's army to starve and then turn back. The satraps Salakia in Anatolia rejected this advice, considering it their duty to defend their land. Eventually, with Alexander advancing deeper into Persian territory, Darius ordered all 5 satraps of Anatolian provinces to pool their military resources together and confront Alexander. This army was guided by Memnon, while absolute command was split among the 5 satraps. All right, so that's just going into the Battle of Alexander, which is the beginning. All right, so you go to, what was that, Daniel 8, I believe. It says verse 3, it says, "Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns. And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last." All right, and that's the Persians and the Medes. You know, you had the Medes, which the Persians ruled over, because the Persians were greater. It says, "I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward." All right, and the reason why it pushes westward, northward, and southward is because it started out through the east, you know, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but did according to his will and became great. All right, so you read how you had the Persians, they didn't think anything of Alexander. All right, they didn't think him worthy of their time. You know, if you watch the movie 300, you can see how the Persian army was. It was great. You know, it was crazy to go against the Persians. It said, and as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. All right, so this goat was powerful. You know, it came from the west, you know, and that's what you read over here. You know, you had Alexander the Great coming in from the west, all right, because he was a Greek, you know, an Edomite. And the Persians and the Medes, they came from the east, you know. They set up their empire, and then you had the Greeks by Alexander advance into their territory. It says, Alexander ultimately fought many of his battles on a river bank. By doing so, he was able to minimize the advantage the Persians had in numbers. In addition, the deadly Persians' chariots were useless on a cramped, muddy river bank. All right, so that just gave you a little bit of information on Alexander the Greek, which is the beginning of Edomite rulership, you know. So back in Revelation, oh, and to prove that, let me go verse 20. It says, the ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. You see? So the Medes and the Persians. The Persians and the Medes. It says, and the rough goat is the king of Grecia. All right. So you go into Grecia, Greece. You see that? Greece. Point blank period. The Greeks. You know? So the king of Grecia was who? Well, we read it in First Maccabees chapter 1. All right. The first one in the stead was Alexander the Great. The first one to rule in the Greeks. You know. So let's go back over here. First Maccabees 1. It said, yep, verse 1. It says, and it happened after Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians, and the Medes. You see that? That's the same thing that Daniel was talking about. That he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. You see, the first over Greece. So you see, Grecia, the king of Grecia, was the goat is Alexander the Great that came out of Grecia. And the great horn is between his eyes is the first king. You see that's Alexander. You had the Greeks that was powerful through Alexander, which is the horn, you know. It says, now that being broken, whereas four stood upon it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. You see, and four nations that came out were the four powers that were divided, you know. So going back to Revelations 13 and 2, it says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, which was the beginning of the Edomite rulership, which was Alexander the Great by the Greeks. You know, that's why America makes so much, you know, noise about the Greeks and the Romans. All right. And his feet were as the feet of a bear. Now the feet represents end. All right. The ending of a nation, you know, or the end. Let me see. Actually, let me go back to that one. Go back over here. Let's go to Russia. Images. Let's put animal. Let's see what that. There you go. Boom. All right, the Russian animal. The first one we saw was a bear. All right, and then you have the Russian bear. You see that? That's Russia. Gog and Magog. All right, it's talking about Russia. So the judgment is going to come from Russia, you know. It says, like to a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, you know. So the end of America, the end of Edomite rulership is going to be through Russia, you know. And his mouth has the mouth of a lion, which is England, you know. That's where the power came from. It says, and the dragon gave him his power. And the dragon gave him his power. Who is the dragon? Well, it's the Romans, you know. Let's look up that word dragon. It says, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So when you go down here, that word dragon is drakon. A dragon, a great serpent, the name for Satan. But then you go to, where's that other one? I think I just got to go forward. Let's go backwards then. Oh, Dracon. And then I'll go over here. Let's go back to Google. Draconian. So draconian, it says, of laws or their application, excessively harsh and severe. The Nazis destroyed the independence of the press by the series of draconian laws. All right, so this man that speaks like a dragon, a dracon, is to bring draconian into this So you can see how it's draconian, and then you have dracon up here. You see? So draconian laws, man. This serpent is going to speak like a dragon. All right? And you read how it says that America was like a lamb. America was like a lamb, or Christian, Christian society, where we're living in a Christian society. All right? Speaks like a lamb, speaks nice to you. Hey, we're going to do this for you. But really, his mouth is full of deceit, like it says in the book of Psalms. It says, and the dragon gave him his power, which is the Roman Empire, and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as they were wounded to death. All right, so we went into the heads. You have the Greeks, the Romans, Germania Major, Germania Minor. All right, that's 4. You have Spanish or Spaniola, which is 5. The 6th would be the French. All right, and then you have the 7th, which is England. All right. And then when you go to Revelation 17 and I believe it was 10, it says, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th. All right, so the 8th is of the 7 and goeth into perdition. So you have your 7 heads, and the 8th would be America, which came of the 7th. All right, which would be the English. All right, Great Britain. So when you go back here to Revelations 13 and 3, and I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death, and that was the Roman Empire, and his deadly wound was healed. All right, like I said, in 1957. Let's go over here. What happened in 1957? Let's see if they can answer the story for themselves. American Civil Rights Movement, Governor Little Rock 9. Of course, they're not going to say it. All right, let's just type it in. The Roman let's type in 1957. 1957 Roman, the Treaty of Rome. Treaty of Rome, the Treaty on Functioning of the European Union, is one of 2 treaties forming the constitutional basis of the European Union, the other being the Treaty on European Union, the Treaty of Rome, brought about the creation of the European Economic Community, the best known of the European communities. And it happened in 1957. All right. Originated as a treaty establishing the European Economic Community, signed in Rome on 25 March 1957. Reforms resulted in merging of 3 pillars into the form European Union. Let's see, established stepping stone in creating the EU, the European Union. All right. The EEC established a common market, which gave members the freedom to move goods, services, capital, and people, and also a customs union among founding states. All right. So just like in Rome, they were trading and doing all these things, the customs, the ways of life, philosophy, all those things that flourished in Rome are now over here in America. All those things are being pushed throughout the world, thanks to NATO and the EU, which is the beast. And that horde that rideth upon the beast is America. It says, and I saw one of his heads that were wounded to death. So the Roman Empire was done for about 1,000 years. All right, over 1,000 years. And then in 1957, you had the Treaty of Rome that was established. and his wound was healed. You see? So it came back. It says, and all the world wonder after the beast. And that's why they teach you in the schools Roman numerals. That's why they teach you, uh, uh, you know, root words, and they go back to the Greek. They go back to the Latin, because that's what was mostly spoken in Rome. And you have on the backside of it the dollar bill. The Latin in the Latin phrases appear a few times on the dollar bill. Above the pyramid reads "Annuit coptis," which means God has favored our undertaking. Under the pyramid is the phrase "Novus ordo seclorum," which is interpreted as a new order of the ages. You see? So America is also known as spiritual Egypt, right? Oops. Also spiritually known as Egypt, which is also spiritually known as Egypt. All right, you have Revelations 11 and 8. It says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom, all right, which is, these Sodomites are the faggots, all right, LGBTQ, whatever the fuck, 123 community. It says, and Egypt, all right, so spiritually this place is called Sodom, an abomination, all right, and Egypt, double straights, all right, hard labor, hard bondage, which draconian laws are also implemented in Egypt to make it a hard bondage. Because in Egypt, they made it a law that the Israelites had to work harder and harder, all right, with less. They took away, the what is it called? The instruments that they needed, all right, to do the work. So they were making it worse and worse upon the Israelites. And here in America, you have draconian laws. Some laws save police officers from killing a man out on the job. When you're out on the job and you kill an Israelite man, you're probably just gonna get suspended for a couple of days and then you're good. If you're off duty, it'll be a harder thing to save you. All right, but nonetheless, it's still gonna take a while before they actually finalize and say, you know what, yeah, you are guilty. When it's completely obvious. Point in case, what happened in Dallas with that man, all right, and that female officer, she went into his house, and when she was outside of the apartment, all right, she said that she saw the red rug outside of the apartment, all right, and that didn't add up. She probably thought, that just reminds me of Dave Chappelle, but she probably thought, maybe somebody put it there for some reason, And then she went inside the apartment, and she saw that her furniture was not the same. My furniture looks weird, She probably saw pictures of somebody else up there. Yo, these people are hanging up pictures of themselves, all right? And that's what Dave Chappelle had talked about. This man, police officers that broke into a man's house, and they said this nigga put up pictures of himself and his family on this place, all right? And when they shot up that person, all they did was just sprinkle a little bit of crack cocaine and everything was good, And I'm sure if this police officer would have had it, all right, on her, she would have sprinkled it on him. I don't put that past an Edomite, man, So this place is spiritually is called Sodom in Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. All right, so let's go into that word crucified. Metaphor to crucify the flesh, destroy its power utterly. All right, so this is America is where Christianity gained power on the negative, on the left-handed side, all right, which is the BS, Love, peace, prosperity, all that BS, it was gained on this side. But the truth, the wisdom, the knowledge, the dark sayings of the scripture, it was crucified. It was destroyed. The power of the scriptures was destroyed here in America. All right. The nature of the figure implying that the destruction is attended with intense pain. All right. And that's the prophets. The prophets are ridiculed here in America. All right. Throughout the four corners of the earth, to drive down stakes. Let's see. Lord, the possessor and dispossessor of a thing, the owner, one who has control of the person, the master. In the state, sovereign, prince, chief, the Roman Empire, all right, emperor, I mean. So going back, it says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. All right. So going back to Revelations 13, and the dragon gave him his power and a great seat and great authority. All right. So that authority comes with laws and, power. It says, and I saw his head as it was wounded to death, which was the Roman Empire, and his deadly wound was healed through the EU, NATO. All right. The Roman Empire was healed again. And now we see it here in America being played out. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. Now that dragon is the Roman Empire, and the beast which would be NATO and the EU. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? All right. So they're worshiping these Edomites, man, who is able to make war with him. All right. And in America, people think here that nobody can make war to America. All right, let's talk about nuclear weapons. Nuclear, let's put have nuclear ever been used? So far, 2 nuclear weapons have been used on the course of warfare, both by the United States near the end of World War II. All right, so both of them were the United States. So the United States is still the only country in the whole entire world that has ever used nuclear weapons. So where's the Christianity at it? The Christianity, where is it at? Where's the love, peace, and prosperity when you make war? All right. It says, and they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth to speak great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. All right. So right now, America is on the brink of collapse. You had it in the, what was it, the 1920s? Around what time? I want to say it was around the 1920s that America was flourishing, But after that, it just started going downhill, man. Let me see. Oh, it was 1970. Salaki, it was it was the 1620s. 1620s. All right, America was flourishing. They were increasing. You see that in the movie Captain America, the first Avenger, I believe. All right. Let me see if I could write that down. When did Captain America, the first Avenger, take place? Does all Captain America, the first Avenger, take place during World War II? No, most of the film takes place in 1942. All right. So in 1942, it was still around the period of, America flourishing. It started in around 1620, and around 1970, it started going downhill, So around Captain America, you had, let me see if they have a picture of it. Captain America, First Avenger, flying car images. All right, so you had this technology that was trying to be implemented in that movie, Captain America: The First Avenger. All right, they were putting in technology, and you can see how that car was clearly floating, did not have any wheels. All right, so technology was flourishing around that time. You know, it was increasing. America was doing good. People were happy. You know, but what happened after 1970? It started going down. All right, so we'll go back over here. 40 and 2 months, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. Let's look up that word tabernacle. So how do they blaspheme? They speak lies. All right, let's look at that word blasphemy. Blasphemia, which means slander. All right, detraction, speech injurious to another good's name, impious and reproachful speech injurious to divine majesty. Injurious means causing or likely to cause damage or harm. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to cause damage to the scriptures. They're trying to cause damage to the reputation of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, saying that it's nonsense, you know. But yet whenever they get into office, they swear by the Bible. And you're not even supposed to swear. You're not supposed to swear by the temple or anything that belongs to the Most High. You can't even swear by yourself because you belong to the Most High. And that's why your conversation should be yay, yay, or nay, nay. You see? So these people are nothing but blasphemers, man. All right? It says, the blasphemy against the Most High, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. You see? So like we read in that first one, it says America is not only the first as well as the only, but truly global power, but it is also likely to be the very last, you know? And the only one that's powerful enough is America. And these nations, they know it. And these people, they know it, but they don't want to say it, man. They're scared. It says, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. All right. So that's really it, man. You know, from the foundation of the earth, these people have not been written in the book of life. And that's why people can't get it. That's why people can't understand this truth, man. So America is that whore that rideth upon the beast, you know. It says, and I beheld another beast, Salakia. If any man have an ear, let him hear. And this is the one that, you know, we bring out quite a bit. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Now, who are the saints? The saints are Israelites, man. You know, let me see, 1500. The 1500 slavery, all right, with the so-called Latinos. You see? And then you had the Atlantic slave trade around the late 1500s, you know, late 1400s, late 1500s. The slave era, 1500s to 1865. You see? That's what happened to our people, man. And it's still going on right now, all right? They're in mental slavery. That's why Bob Marley, when he sings that song, emancipate yourself from mental slavery, none but ourselves can free our minds. And why is that? Because through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, all right, dealing with the prophets, he's freeing people's minds. He's waking them up, you know? So he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Who did that? The Spanish, the French, the Portuguese. All right, you had the English, the Americans, really the Edomite nations. And you also had all these other nations that had to do with it. So yeah, they're going to go into slavery too. All right, but it says, "He that killeth with a sword must be killed with the sword." Now, how does Esau, Edom, all right, these self-proclaimed whites, how do they rule the world? By military. All right. Let me see. Let's put, why does America rule by military? Military dictatorship. A military dictatorship, also known as military junta, is a dictatorship where the military experts. That's something else. United States Armed Forces are the military forces of the United States of America. However, federal rule. Since the end of World War II, the American military has been described. Let me see what that says. It says, since the end of World War II, the American military has been described so often by defense analysis, military historians, and U.S. president as the most lethal armed force in history that it's become a cliche. All right? You see that? So he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, which was the whites, all right, the Edomites, more specifically, because you have brothers that can look like a so-called white man, all right. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Now let's get who the saints are, which is in Exodus 19:6. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. All right, so that's what our teachers are doing. They're speaking unto the children of Israel who their true leaders are, all right, which starts out from Elder Tahar on down at Great Millstone. It says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. All right, now the two horns as a lamb and spake as a dragon is talking about the what's it called? The Democrats. All right, this beast this talking about is America that talks as through Democrats, and it talks like what's it called? Slovakia. Talks like a lamb, like we read Slovakia, like we read in the past one. It said. It says, starting out from here, it says, there is only one nation in the earth that appears on the world stage lamb-like, but ends up speaking as a dragon and has the power and influence to cause the rest of the world to take the mark of the beast. All right. So you have Rome. In Rome, you had the plebeians and the patricians. All right. You had the plebeians and the patricians, which are two democratic parties working for the same system. All right. In the U.S., you have the Democrats and the Republicans. Granted, yes, you do have others that you can vote for, but it's always Democrats and Republicans. All right. So going back over here, Salakia, Revelations 13 and 11, and I beheld another beast come out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. All right. So say a person. You have a person, the person has two arms, right? The right hand and the right hand is extended to you, and you have the left hand. The left hand is telling you pick me. The right hand is telling you pick me. And at the end of the day, when you're done behind the curtain, what's being done is being eaten by this dragon. All right? Because both hands are going to be drawn into the mouth, you know? So these two horns is the Republicans and the Democrats. And these two horns are speaking a certain way. All right, but they all speak the same way as in a dragon, a draconian law, you know, hardship, deceitful, you know. So they deceive the masses through the Democrats and Republicans, and they always choose, oh, Hillary Clinton, I'd rather choose her than Donald Trump, when at the end of the day, they're both working for the same system. You see what I'm saying? It says, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and he caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, which is the Romans, whose deadly wound was healed, you see? And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Now, going back over here, who was the first one? All right, let's go. Let's see if I can go back. I can go back a little bit more. All right, so far, 2 nuclear weapons have been used in the course of warfare, both by the United States. You see, both by the United States near the end of World War II. So the only 2 that have ever been used in the sight of men has been the United States. All right, so there's no going around it. The United States is all right, Babylon the Great. You see? And he's exercising the powers of the Romans, man. You see? And he doeth great wonders, like what? The atomic bomb, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And what is that fire? Nuclear weapon, nuclear warfare, you know? So that nuclear warfare is going to come back and bite you in the ass, man. So America is Babylon the Great. We're not living in a Christian society, all right? This is not a Christian society, man. This is Babylon the Great, a deceitful society, you know? So hopefully that was edifying. I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us His truth to rule well. Shalom, Makim, stay strong out there, and don't let any of these deceitful wolves overtake what this truth is. Shalom.